Hello, my noble band of outlaws. Outlaw Samurai coming at you live with another video from the Secret Dojo. But this time I actually have my film stand with me, so that kind of helps alleviate some of the stress of filming. But today is the cutting video for the Cold Steel Bushcraft set. And before anyone asks, yes, I did bring the other one down with me. It's in the bag. I just don't feel like I really have to do both knives because they are basically the same except for the colors of their grips. So, without further ado, don'ts, and probably shouldn't, let's get started. If you saw my community post last night, you'll see that I had filled a shit ton of bottles. Now, I'm not going to be cutting all the bottles today, just some of them. Just enough to kind of lighten the load from hauling this shit down into the Secret Dojo. If I had a water source down here, shit would have probably been a lot easier, but I don't. 3, 2, 1. Well, it cut it, but it didn't cut through it. Try it a little bit bigger. Again, it cut into it, but it didn't. Well, that time it did. So that time I stepped into the cut. Okay. The Mountain Dew, we should be able to get through in one go. Well, not at all. Oh, sure, it lops through the brush just fine. But just a flick of the wrist thing with this. Try downwards. Well, that time it did it. No noticeable dulling of the blade. So, the back of the grip, I'm noticing it's a bit abrasive on my hand, and that may be the way I'm holding it. Trying to hold it how it seems to be facilitated for holding. This is not boding well. I always chalk up Cold Steel to be great. And we've seen me do upwards cuts all the time with swords, and they succeed. It may be because the bottle's hitting the belly, the underside of the belly of this almost kukri style blade. because going that way, it cuts. But it doesn't want to cut upwards, and I think I know why. So we can see there's a belly right here, and as I cut upwards, the belly wants to catch what it's cutting and try to force the swelled part of the blade into the edge. However, when I cut downwards, I'm basically pulling the belly into the cut. So I want to say that's the reason why I'm having so much trouble with the underhanded cuts, is because of the belly, which I suppose naturally a knife like this isn't really designed to be cut upwards. It's really a downwards chopper kind of knife. Hence why the downward cuts seem to be far more effective. And why it really only takes a flick of the wrist to get through some of these branches. So, Cold Steel Bushcrafter knife. From what I can tell, it is a decent blade, but it kind of limits you on the type of cuts you can perform. Like, you can really only do a chopping motion with this thing, or maybe a push and slide cut. That won't work. It does chop nice. And it does carve very well. So Cold Steel did make a very good knife. It even has a finger choil for more control cuts. Right here. Not a very large finger choil by any means, but it's there. This is turned into... I'm just going to make this a cutting video and review since we didn't really get a lot of cutting done. So as I was saying before with this knife, the back of this was really rubbing up against the back of my palm, which I was holding it like this, which is kind of how the grip kind of facilitates its use. Really chopping with thumb forward. I mean, I could have just hammer gripped it or even saber gripped it, but even saber grip sometimes has thumb forward like this. Hope you can see this in the camera. But, and it does have a lanyard hole. I don't know if I'm going to put a lanyard on this or not. I may just end up giving this knife to a friend of mine. And the friend I'm talking about is, of course, Geekopedia. Because I already have one of these. So it's not like I need two. I just don't see the point in having both of these around. well, I guess if one goes dull, I can just switch over or one breaks. But with cold steel, I feel like breaking is a very low possibility on that spectrum. Just because we've seen what the cold steel swords can do. Well, the katanas, I haven't tested the longsword or the Kriegsmesser or the Viking sword as much, or the poleaxe, honestly. I haven't even done a cutting video for the poleaxe, which is something I need to remedy later on. But in any case, cold steel bushcrafter set. In my opinion, it's a good knife for what it was designed for. Not so much a good knife for backyard bottle cutting. At least that's what I found out. If you have any opposing opinions, comment down below, and we'll get a whole chat thing started. But until next time, my noble band of outlaws, Outlaw Samurai, tells all y'all, be crazy rednecks, be safe, use your weapons. I'm out. Peace. I can just get to this fucking brush.